hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean, yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I've put together 14 of my best St. Patrick's Day DIYs using supplies from the Dollar Tree. A lot of these have a coastal vibe to them, and I hope you enjoy today's video. The first one we're going to do, I'm going to use one of these little wood shamrocks from the Dollar Tree. This is just the plain one that doesn't have anything on it. It is slightly a different shape, but it's pretty similar to the one that has the little bump outs. Then I thought we would just make a DIY stain using some brown paint from the Dollar Tree, kind of mixing that half and half with just water. I kind of wanted to show you what these wood pieces from the Dollar Tree would look like if you don't have access to Antique Wax by Waverly. Pretty similar, and it kind of gave me kind of a warmer brown color, this color from the Dollar Tree, but it actually worked out pretty well. So I just go over the whole thing, kind of working in one direction, and then I go over the top of that with a baby wipe and wipe off the excess stain. And look how pretty that wood grain is. Super easy. I don't use Dollar Tree paint a lot, but sometimes you can find a good shade and have good success with it. It's kind of thin, so it kind of works well for a stain like that. Then we're going to use 3 of these little galvanized metal heart trays from the Dollar Tree. These are from the Crafter Square. They're not just for Valentine's Day. They have them at my Dollar Trees year-round, and so I picked up 3 of these. See how they fit perfectly on the leaves for the shamrock? I thought we could do something really cool with these. So I'm just going to attach them to our little wood shamrock with hot glue. The wood shamrock itself is kind of a little bit flimsy, but when you add these little metal trays to it, definitely made it a stronger, more substantial piece. So I'm just going to do that with all 3. I've heard that you can't hot glue these metal pieces, but I never have any trouble. I do use the Gorilla Glue hot glue. It's available in my Amazon shop below. Also, sometimes I'm able to pick it up at Walmart. But works really well for these kind of things. The reason I stain the shamrock, even though most of it's going to be covered, is just because you can see around the edges a little bit. It's a little bit larger than the heart, so I didn't want that raw wood to be back there. I wanted to kind of have a stained wood background. But this is going to hold it all together. Then I thought I would take some of this reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree, and we can fill up the little heart-shaped metal pans with that. It's going to give us a mossy shamrock feeling, and I think it looks kind of cool. I'm kind of doing mine more like a seaweed kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. It can kind of match with different decors. So I just do about half of a leaf at a time there, just by putting down hot glue and then carefully gluing that down in there. Make sure you don't burn yourself. I'm just trying to cover most of the bottom to get that leaf shape for the shamrock. Not too full. I don't want to waste too much reindeer moss, but just trying to get that heart shape filled in. Now we're going to do the same thing here on the other 2 leaves. Whenever I buy the reindeer moss from the Dollar Tree, I always try to kind of check to see if it's a little bit wet. You can tell by feeling through the package. I find it's easier to work with if when it was packaged, it was a little bit damp. It makes it more malleable. It kind of makes it prettier too. Because sometimes it's really dried out and clumped together. So make sure you feel your reindeer moss before you buy it. Just a tip. They also have a different kind of moss right now too. I can't remember what it's called. It's a brighter color green. I did pick up some of it, but I kind of wanted to use this earthy color of green for this. So just the regular reindeer moss, and just piecing that in there. You can always patch any areas that you need to, or if you have any hot glue that you can see, you can kind of melt it if you have a heat gun. Now, I was trying to determine what I could do for the stem of the shamrock, and I thought I would do something coastal, so I'm going to use some of this Dollar Tree rope. This is the 6 foot white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree, and I thought if I double it up, it would be about the right width of the stem, and we could do like a coastal rope stem for it. Something that's going to stick out from that background sign because the pans, you know, are a little bit thick and substantial. So I'm just going to take the tape off the end. I cut this piece down, and then I'm going to cut it in half to form 2 little ropes to fit in there. Now, I don't want them to be white though, because that's not really going to go with the green shamrock feel. I really want them to be green. I didn't think that I could paint them very easily to get really good coverage. So I thought maybe I could try to make my own like dye, kind of dye them. It kind of ended up more like a paint on there, but let me show you what I ended up doing. Sometimes, yeah, just got to be creative. So I take a cup of water, a little bit of water in there, and I thought I'd make a DIY stain. So the only colors of green I had was like a Christmas green and like a leafy green. So I'm going to mix those together and just kind of go from there to try to get a color kind of close that the green that we used for the reindeer moss. And it was way too bright, I thought. So I'm just going to start adding some black acrylic paint to it too, to try to darken it up. Kind of like mixing paint colors, but I was trying to mix a stain color. Now, what I didn't realize though is that it didn't really mix with the water real well. Maybe I used too much paint. That's probably it, because it ended up more of a paint feel. But I did add a little bit of brown as well to try to give me that earthy color, and I got it pretty close, right? So then I thought we could just take the Dollar Tree rope and dip it in the cup to dye the rope. It does work, but not really what I intended. Again, I think I probably used too much paint, but I'm going to put my first one in there. And you can see it kind of turned out like kind of a camo, kind of mottled. Little green specks, brown specks, black specks. I kind of liked it though. I thought it looked very cool, like an old green nautical rope that's been used and abused in the sea. So it's really wet at this point, so I am just going to use my heat gun to try to speed this up. If you don't have a heat gun, I would really advise buying one. They're only about $10. I have one available in my Amazon shop below, but you could always use a blow dryer because these things are wet. Otherwise, you're going to have to let them sit for a long time. So kind of messy at this point too, especially if you're handling them. You're going to get like paint all over your hands. I dried them and then I put them in my hands and I dry them again. As you can see, I'm getting paint all over my hand, but I kind of wanted to blend the little camo pattern that was in there a little bit. Next time I try this technique, I'm sure I'll try it again. I'll try to use less paint and more water. Maybe that would mix better and give me more of a stain, because this is more of like one of those mixing paint with water kind of effects, I think. But it worked. We have green rope now, right? So here's my 2 pieces of a green rope for my stem of my shamrock. And now I just need to attach those to the little shamrock. So that's what I'm going to do. I've got them fairly dry. I think dry enough to glue them down. So I'm just going to glue those down. Now, the only parts of the shamrock at this point that really aren't green are like the little places in between the different heart pans there that you see. And my camera did turn itself off here, but what I'm going to do is just kind of patch in those areas with a little bit more Spanish moss just to kind of make it look more cohesive. I just put a little hot glue down on those cracks and then put a little bit of that reindeer moss down in there. And I also glued the reindeer moss in the seam between the ropes just to kind of give it more of a natural feel, kind of peeking out like that. It's looking pretty cool. My son absolutely adored this project. He said it was my best St. Patrick's Day project I've ever done. So quite a compliment. And just trying to patch up any areas that I thought kind of needed a little bit of moss. Now I thought I would decorate it. If you don't do a coastal decor, you can totally leave as is. But since I do, I thought we would add some little sea creatures. I get these little tiny starfish on Amazon. They're available in my shop below. I'm going to use one of those, just hot gluing that to the stem. And then the rest of these are just the little tiny shells that are in the glass bottles from the Dollar Tree. I'm just going to glue a couple of them down like they kind of are stuck in the seaweed or the rope to kind of give me this cool mossy or seaweed shamrock. Super fun. I also kind of have a gap there, so I thought maybe I would glue another shell there. I'm not really going to do any shells in the leaves, but I kind of wanted to decorate the stem a little bit, just to add a little bit more character to this DIY. So that's how it's looking so far. I did want to do a hanger, so I'm going to cut some twine. This is that twine from Walmart. It's a little bit thicker. Doubling it up, pulling it through, kind of recreating the hanger that was on there before, and knotting that gives me a nice coastal vibe hanger for it. Super cute. I thought about putting it on a wood round, but I kind of like the shape of it. I decided I wanted my hanger to be a little bit shorter, so I do tie it again, shortening the hanger a little bit. And then I was trying to decide, I wanted to do like some kind of a bow or something to finish it off. And I thought some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree would be perfect. This comes in several different colors, green, tan, white. This is the tan one. I just cut off a piece and tying it into a knot right in the middle. I think it looks like fishing net, so I love using this for coastal DIYs. That's all I'm going to do is tie a knot, and then I just kind of need to figure out where to attach it. I kind of want it to be like kind of a crazy bow. So I thought about putting it there, but I didn't really want to cover up the seashell. So I decided to put it right here at the base of my shamrock. I'm just going to glue that knot down in there on top of the rope. And then just kind of have one go down, one go to the side. And that is the final touch to this DIY. I think it turned out really fun. What do you guys think about this little shamrock? I used all supplies from the Dollar Tree. The only thing not from the Dollar Tree was that little tiny starfish. But I think this is really fun. And it can go coastal. It could also go any kind of decor if you like leave off the seashells.
If you're enjoying today's video, be sure to hit that like button. It always helps. And don't forget to subscribe. We're trying to get to 30,000 subscribers.
Okay, our next DIY, check out these new signs from the Dollar Tree, from the Crafter Square. They're like a whitewash wood. They have like a groove between the different like slats of the board. I kind of wanted like a rectangular sign for this one. And so I wanted something big enough for this. I got this little mossy shamrock at the Target dollar spot for $5. Super cute. The other version they have is the little leprechaun hat that I used on my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar. And I kind of wanted a background sign for that. So I'm going to use 2 of those Dollar Tree signs. I'm just going to cut them down to size because I don't need it to be quite so long for this project. So just laying my shamrock on top, kind of figuring out how big I want them. And then I'm just going to take these off to my saw and cut these down. I have, a lot of you guys have asked what kind of saw I have. I have a Ryobi miter saw that's like a sliding one. Super easy to cut stuff down. Now I kind of want there to be a groove between the 2 signs. So instead of gluing them directly together, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between them. That way it'll kind of continue that like wood slat pattern. I think it's going to give it a nice coastal background sign. Now to connect them together, I'm just going to use some popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. I think that's going to work fine. And then just glue them together. I think 3 popsicle sticks should be plenty. And I'm just going to hot glue the back of the sign and lay 1 in the middle. And then I'll do 1 on each side. You can kind of see the wood through there a little bit, but it's not real obvious. But I think it looks better than putting them side by side. They have these new signs in like brown wood, black, this whitewash, white. They're so pretty. I love them. What a great background. So that's going to be a great background piece for our little mossy shamrock. And then I was trying to think of something like coastal and fun I could do for this. And I decided it'd be really cool to make the background of the shamrock be sand. And then I can do like a little carving in the sand, like you would kind of write letters in the sand when you're at the beach. So I'm just taking a Sharpie and going around like the inside of where the shamrock will be, so I'll know exactly how much sand that I need to add to the sign, only to make the background of the shamrock sand, if you know what I mean. So I'm just going to use a school glue and some of this brown sand from the Dollar Tree. I thought the brown would be better than the white because the white would kind of blend in with this sign. And then I'm just going to use a small paintbrush from the Dollar Tree and just start painting that school glue on exactly where I want the sand to be. I want to like kind of go just outside the borders that I painted on there so that you won't really be able to see any gaps. But I also don't want it to be underneath where I'm going to attach the mossy shamrock to it because I want the glue to be able to stick that mossy shamrock down to the wood sign. So it's kind of a shamrock shape, kind of a weird shamrock shape by just painting the inside. Once I get the school glue on there, I am just going to open up my sand from the Dollar Tree and start sprinkling that on, doing a nice thin coat. I love working with sand projects. I think they're so fun and they're pretty easy to do. You just got to make sure that you put something down first so you don't make a huge mess with the sand. But just kind of shaking that, and you can kind of see that the shape that it's taking. I should have put something down first, but I'm putting down a cutting board now from the Dollar Tree. And that's kind of the shape that we're left with. I'm also going to secure it even more using some of the spray glue from the Dollar Tree. I kind of need more of this, and I've been having trouble finding this. Sometimes they have it in the school supply section, and sometimes they have it in the Crafter Square, but for some reason, my Dollar Trees have not been carrying that for the last few months. I'm not sure why. So I also just sprinkle on some more sand to kind of give a thicker coat. This is just the sand that came off when I shook it before. And then I'm going to give it a good dry to make sure that it is going to stay put. Now we can kind of piece it back together by putting the little mossy shamrock on top. And now you can kind of see what I meant by having the sand background. You kind of have to line it up just right. But I love these St. Patrick's Day decorations from the Dollar Spot at Target. So cute. And if you wanted to use supplies from the Dollar Tree, you could probably recreate something pretty similar. I'm going to do a bead of hot glue all around the edges of the sand shamrock and then glue the mossy shamrock down. So cute. I got it lined up pretty much perfectly. I am going to spray a little bit more adhesive down. Sprinkle a little bit of sand here in the corners just to make sure that I got it good and tight. But totally doesn't have to be perfect, but usually the more glue that you use, the better, because this is going to be, hanging on the wall. I don't want any of the sand falling off. Now, I want to carve like you wrote like a word in the sand at the beach. So just flipping over my paintbrush, I'm just going to use the end of my paintbrush. And while it's still a little bit damp, I'm just going to sketch my word in there. I'm going to have it just say lucky. I thought about doing like a printed letter lucky, but I thought it might be easier to pull off if I kind of do like a cursive script. And so that's what I'm going to do, because that way I don't really have to worry about the spacing of the letters or anything like that. And so I'm just going to do like a lucky, like in cursive, like a script. If you do find that you have like some sand on the end of your paintbrush, you can just wipe that off. You're trying to get that part of the sand out. I kind of wish I would have painted that part like a little bit deeper tan before I would have done that, to kind of give it that like wetter sand look that it looks like when you carve in the sand at the beach. But good enough. I'm just going to give that a quick dry here to try to keep everything in place. And you can always touch it up if you find that there's a little bit of sand in any of the places that shouldn't be. Now, I wanted to frame this out. I didn't want to do the rope border on this one. I thought we could do something else, and I wanted to do something coastal as well. So I'm going to do a shell border on this one. I thought that would be really fun. So I'm going to use a Dollar Tree shells. I really like these shells. This is the one I'm talking about when I say they come in the little glass bottles. I like to pour mine out in those little toy organizers from the Dollar Tree to keep them organized, and they're easier to get out than they are from getting them out of that little tiny bottle. But it's kind of a medium-sized shell, so I'm going to use that, I think, to border out the top and the bottom. Now, before I get any further, I thought I better go ahead and do a hanger now. Probably should have done that before I even attached the sand or anything else, but we're just going to flip it over, and I'm just going to use some thick twine from Walmart. I'm going to tie a knot in each end. Just do a really simple hanger. This is really not very heavy. I think this is going to stay on just fine. And I'm just going to hot glue that to the back, trying to center it so it will hang straight. And the only reason that I knotted it was just to kind of give me more surface to glue to the back of these signs. But I love these signs from the Dollar Tree. They are really coming out with some really cute blanks like this at the Dollar Tree. I'm really excited about them. So we have a hanger now, so now we can go back to that shell border. So I'm just going to kind of glue one of these shells on each one of the boards just by doing a dot of hot glue on the bottom part of the shell. I'm also going to do them all kind of in the same direction, so they're all kind of pointing the same way. I'm going to do that on the top and the bottom of the sign because I have plenty of room for like a medium-sized shell like this. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom, having them kind of pointing the same direction that I had them on the top, and just do another row of those shells. I love decorating with those. Those are one of my favorite shells from the Dollar Tree. And I don't think I have enough room to do them down the sides, so I thought I would just switch to a smaller shell, one of these little tiny ones, and kind of do those down the sides since I don't have a lot of room, because I have the sides of the shamrock there. So I'm just going to kind of fit those in, just kind of working my way down, again, kind of working in the same direction. It just gives a fun little framed out look to this sign and adds a little bit more detail. But I totally love these signs. Very, very cute. And I love that little mossy shamrock. So fun. This is the first time I've ever tried to do the like carving into the sand. But that was really fun as well. Next time, if I were to do it again, I definitely would have probably painted that tan behind it before I put the glue down, just to add a little bit more contrast. But at least the white is a different color than the sand. So I'm going to do the same thing here on the other side, just gluing at the lip of one of the shells down and just kind of filling it in. It's not going to be totally symmetrical because one side's higher than the other. But that looks pretty good. Just trying to clean up any excess hot glue. And we have our little lucky sand shamrock. I think this turned out really cute. I have this hanging in my dining room for St. Patrick's Day. And I think it looks so fun.
And I think it would be easy enough to recreate if you could not find the one that I got at Target Dollar Spot by using some of the Dollar Tree moss. Hey guys, I wanted to take a quick moment out of today's video and let you know about memberships. I've introduced those on my channel for $4.99 a month. You're going to get early ad-free access to my videos, and it's a quick, easy way for you to support me here on YouTube. All you have to do is hit the join button underneath today's video.
The first one, we're going to use some of this crushed glass in green from the Dollar Tree, and one of those little wooden shamrocks with the little raised like leaves or hearts on them. And we're going to DIY this, kind of make it look like a stained wood and like crushed like sea glass shamrock. And it really turns out stunning. So the first thing we need to do is stain the shamrock. So I'm just going to use Antique Wax by Waverly and a brush so that I can kind of get down in there, and we're going to stain this wood. One great thing about these plain wood items from the Dollar Tree is that they stain really, really nice. You would never know that it was such an inexpensive sign, only $1.25. So just kind of going all over. I didn't really want to do the top parts, but it's kind of inevitable, so I'm just going to go ahead and stain everything. My plan here is to do the crushed sea glass look on the little heart shape, the leaf shapes on top, but leaving that beautiful stain on the back of the shamrock. So up next, I'm just going to distress it with ivory, acrylic, and a chunky brush, just to kind of give me kind of a lighter stain, more of a kind of a driftwood feel. And just wiping off the excess with a baby wipe just to lighten it up a little bit. And if you don't feel it's distressed enough, you can always go over it again. And don't be afraid to distress. You can always wipe it off if you get too much on there. I'm just kind of working with it until I'm happy with it. Now we can get started on the crushed glass. They have this like couple different colors. I think I've seen it. I've used it in blue before, but I thought green would be beautiful for St. Patrick's Day. So just kind of dumping this out so we can get started with that. I need to find a way to attach that to the shamrock sign and glue it on. So I thought this tacky glue, I also get this from the Dollar Tree, would be really good. I've used it to glue down stones a lot for other DIYs, and it's a nice thick glue. It works really well to glue down something as heavy as the rocks. So I'm just going to go over the little leaves, little raised part, and do a thick layer of that tacky glue. I think that's why it works so well, is because it's so thick. And then I'm just going to start sprinkling on that sea glass, trying to get as good coverage as I can. Just kind of pressing that down into the glue. And then I like to spray over the top with some of that spray adhesive, also from the Dollar Tree. I find that it helps things stay down. So we're going to do that here with all the leaves. Tacky glue, the stones, and then the spray adhesive on top. I'm trying to make sure that I don't really glue any to the background of the shamrock that I have stained, only to the front parts. And I really like the look of this. This is really fun. I've never, this was the first time I think I crafted with this glass. And I love to try all of the craft products from the Dollar Tree. Now let it sit. And as you can see, it stayed on really well. I was expecting more to fall off, but it totally didn't. But I'm just going to kind of patch in any little holes that I see, mainly along the edges. Just using some of that spray adhesive as I go, wiping off any excess so it doesn't like really show up on the final product. Okay, now I want to kind of layer that on another sign. I'm going to use this wood round that I got at the Target Dollar Spot, but you could totally use the wood rounds from the Dollar Tree as well. It would totally work. This has got like a white, like kind of beachy vibe on one side and like a chalkboard on the other side. So I thought this side would be really good background for that. I like to layer the Dollar Tree signs just to make them look a little bit thicker and more substantial. So I'm going to kind of put the little shamrock on there like that. I was kind of seeing if the holes on both signs would line up. Just securing that with hot glue. And then I kind of want to take some of that Dollar Tree twine to make the hanger kind of go through both signs. So I'm going to use like just one of these large like upholstery needles to try to string that in there. That way it'll be easier to get through there to make a new hanger here. And that kind of takes care of the holes in the shamrock as well. I'm just going to tie the knots in the front. I always like to hang my signs like that. I find they hang flatter against the wall when you do it like that. Tying off both sides. Then I wanted to kind of make a bow for the hanger just to make it look really pretty. So I'm going to use some ribbons from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use some burlap ribbons and some of this beautiful like palm leaf print ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I think that's so pretty. And then I also have some little burlap ribbon that has like the ivory trim on it. And I'm going to use those three together. We're just going to make a really simple expo for this. Just kind of dress it up. And I love that palm print with the green glass for St. Patrick's Day. So just going to line those up, alternating the palm in the middle and just tying this off with a zip tie. I love expos. They're so easy. Anybody can do them and they really add a fun touch to your DIY. Just kind of arranging that and cutting off the rest of the zip tie. And then I'm just going to use some of that twine to tie it onto the hanger. Just another little fun detail for this little St. Patrick's Day DIY. I love the coastal vibe of it with the different woods and the stained glass, but you know, you could use this for any style of decorating. It would look great for St. Patrick's Day. Just tying that twine off. And there you go. We have our first St. Patrick's Day DIY. I love this. This is definitely one of my favorites. And I can't wait to decorate with this. So fun. Okay, our next DIY, we're going to start with one of these little tinsel shamrocks from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I love to use the tinsel products basically as I like the cage underneath because I can always DIY with it. Now, this has like a lot of tinsel wrapped around it, so you kind of have to take your time. You can cut it. I found that this one was so tightly woven, it was almost easier just to unwind it than to cut it. Like a lot of times on the cages, it's easier just to cut it. But this one, you got to just kind of take your time and just take it all off. And of course, it's going to make a little bit of a mess. So just going around that last section of that last leaf. And then what I want to do is use that cage to make a rope shamrock with that nautical rope from the Dollar Tree in white. It's going to look very coastal with the white rope, but it could also go with for other decorating styles as well. After much effort, we have a plain cage. This is the rope I'm going to use. It is the 6 foot, so it is the fairly thick white rope. I love decorating with this. You can make just about anything with the Dollar Tree rope, the white or the brown. So I'm just going to cut off the tape on the end and we can start decorating with this. Now I'm working on a silicone mat, so what I'm going to use is hot glue to glue that down. I don't really have to worry about it sticking on anything because it won't stick to the silicone mat. And so I'm going to start with the stem first, do a bead of hot glue, and that rope covers the cage really nicely. And then I'm going to use that same piece and go up and go ahead and do the top leaf of the shamrock, just gluing that down. And that wide rope really worked well because it hid all of those tabs on the cage. I didn't really have to cut those off or anything, yet this like covered it nicely. So I'm going to go ahead and cut it off there. That looks like a good place to cut it and glue that down. And then we can use the rest of the rope to cover the other leaves. So just starting right here along the stem, I'm going to just go around and glue around in that heart shape. I always forget that hearts make perfect shamrocks and that I put away all of my Valentine's Day DIY stuff. And then I'm like, why did I put that away? I can use that to make shamrocks. Gluing down that leaf, and then we're going to go ahead and do the same thing with the next one. Now, I'm not going to just leave it like this, but you totally could. You totally could just have a rope shamrock, and you could do a lot of different things with that. You could hang it on a door, hang it on your wall. I'm going to go ahead and layer it on another sign just to kind of make it a more finished project and kind of add to it a little bit. Now, as you can see, the hot glue gets a little messy on the back, but what I'm going to do is just melt it with my heat gun. And then I wanted to use some of this ombre tote bag. You guys have seen me use it before. I've used the pink part of this bag actually for one of my Valentine's Day DIYs. Using the pink, it looked like a pink fishnet for a background for some XOXO letters. But this time what I want to use is like the ivory part. And I love this. I think this makes a great fishnet to craft with. That fishing net that they carry every summer at the Dollar Tree is like a really big fishing net. I don't find it works very well for crafting with, but I love this. If you see these bags, pick them up. They are so versatile. And what I'm going to do is just cover the back of each leaf with the fishing net. Just gluing that down around the edges, and then I can trim up all the excess later. I'm just using some of those silicone cake tools from the Dollar Tree to spread that out. And that way I also don't burn myself with the hot glue. And it's just going to be a nice leaf background with that. I think that's going to match with the rope really well. So then once I get it glued down, I'm just using my scissors to cut that as close to the frame as I can so that you can't see any of the excess. And then what I'm going to do is continue using that bag, that same exact bag, to cover the rest of it. When you kind of like cut all the fabric out around the handles, you can get quite a bit of fabric. You can kind of stretch it. As you can see, that one still has a little bit of pink on it, but I'm just going to kind of glue it down and cut it out to size, and you won't be able to see any of that. I wish it was all white. That would be really cool. And if you can't find that, you could also use like the little mats that go underneath the rugs, the rug liners, would really kind of work well for that too, about the same size of netting. Now the sign that I'm going to layer it on is one of these chalkboards from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with these because they're a great size. They're really sturdy. They don't bow. They're rather thick. And so I thought this was going to be just about the right size for a St. Patrick's Day DIY. It does have all of this chalkboard writing on the back, and so I'm just going to use some cheap Dollar Tree contact paper just to cover the back, just to give me a more finished product. Whenever your back looks nice, I think your DIYs look nicer. So I'm just going to poke some holes in there and then use a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree to cut off all the excess. This contact paper is pretty thick, so it cuts really well with that. And I've been having trouble finding the sanding sponges at the Dollar Tree for months and months and months. And now suddenly all of my Dollar Trees have started getting them back in stock. Thank goodness, I really needed some new ones. Now I'm going to work on the back since it is a nice blank canvas. The only issue with these chalkboards is always trying to get that tag off the back. So using some heat and a scraper to try to get that off. And then it does kind of leave like a sticky residue, so I'm going to use a little Goo Gone on there as well. And we have a nice blank canvas. Now I'm going to cover this with burlap as a background, but I didn't really want the background, like, you know, you can kind of see through the burlap because it has holes in it. I didn't want that to be black. I wanted it to be green for St. Patrick's Day. So I'm just using Christmas green color and just giving a very quick, easy coat over the back just to kind of make it have a green background. It probably wasn't necessary, but it was just a little extra step that made me love this project even more. And so I'm just going to use a scrap piece of burlap I have. I like to buy the burlap at Walmart. It's really inexpensive, like $2 and something a yard. And oh my gosh, you can use it for just about anything. I'm going to Mod Podge mine down. Since I'm using fabric, I'm doing a rather thick layer of Mod Podge. And then I'm going to simply lay the burlap down. It is a little bit larger than I need, but I can always go ahead and trim that up later. Just making sure it is smooth and glued down. Now, if you look really closely at it, you can see the green background. See? That's what I was talking about. And I think that's going to make a really fun background for that little rope shamrock that we made. I just have to cut off the excess burlap. And burlap is very forgiving too. You know, if you get it cut fairly close, you can kind of pull out some threads and kind of make it look like it's supposed to be frayed instead of not wanting it to be frayed. Just using my sharpest fabric scissors. A lot of you guys have asked about these scissors. They are, what is the name of them? Singer fabric scissors. And they are really sharp. They work really good. I actually got them at my local grocery store. But I think I have them in my Amazon shop because I think they do have them on Amazon as well. So as you can see, the shamrock fits really nicely on this size sign. And I'm just going to start attaching it with hot glue to the burlap sign. Kind of centering it. It's okay if it hangs off the sides a little bit. But I'm just kind of gluing one section at a time to make sure that my hot glue doesn't set up before I move on to the next section. Now I'm just going to glue down my leaves. I want this to be flat on there and attached, all of it glued down. And again, you could use this rope shamrock without a sign behind it, but I really kind of liked the layered look and the contrast it gave me with that like fishing net behind the rope. So we got that all glued down. I did have a little spot over to the left that didn't really have anything there. I thought that was a great opportunity to make like a little sign, just to personalize this a little bit. So what I'm going to use is some of this craft wood from the Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to cut that wood down to size to give me a perfect size sign for this. And this is the craft wood that I'm using. I'm just going to take it to my saw and cut it down to size, give it a quick sand. Then I thought we would paint this green and make just a cute little St. Patrick's Day sign, just to kind of fill that area. So I'm using that same Christmas green acrylic paint and doing one coat over that raw wood. I'm also going to go over it with some ivory and a chunky brush and just distress it slightly to kind of go with my coastal farmhouse vibe. And then if you want your sign to look really good, you can use your Cricut. I am just going to use my white Sharpie pink pen and do a script Lucky on there, just kind of making the letters go off the sides. Super easy. You could do whatever kind of a font you want. I just kind of wanted to do a cursive on this. I'm just kind of filling in any areas that got missed by my paint pen. And we have a cute little sign here to go on the front of our shamrock. I like the white Sharpie paint pens. I think they work pretty well. I have been using some other ones that are available in my Amazon shop that I like even better, I think. They do work pretty well. And I didn't think I had it distressed enough, so once I get it on there, I'm going to distress it a little bit more heavily with the ivory. Wiping off the excess with a baby wipe until it looks nice and distressed. Now I'm just going to attach that to the burlap with some hot glue. Super cute and a functional space over there to put something. Now to give it a little bit of a coastal touch, I thought a starfish would be great. These are some real starfish. I get these on Amazon. They are available in my shop. But if you have some from the Dollar Tree, that would be really cute as well. You might need to give them a coat of ivory first. These are kind of already that bleached ivory color. And then I'm just going to reattach the hanger by poking a hole through all the fabric and stuff that I had on there. And just using some twine to tie that off. Again, just tying the knot in the front. And that's all there is to this DIY. I think it turned out really cute. I love the little starfish touch on there. And I love all of the little coastal vibes to this. What do you guys think about this one? And here it is, our little rope and fishing net shamrock, complete with some burlap and a starfish. This is perfect for coastal St. Patrick's Day. You can kind of make any holidays coastal if you try hard enough. Okay, up next, I wanted to make a St. Patrick's Day wreath for my front door using some of the nautical rope jute in the 8-foot from the Dollar Tree and one of the little shamrock or wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. Now, this turned out absolutely beautiful, but have some patience with this project if you're going to do it because it does take a little bit of work. What I want to do is use that Dollar Tree rope to do like a woven rope pattern on this, which you're going to cover all of it since you have the different wires on the wreath form. You're going to weave the rope in between them. So I attach it to the bottom right here. I thought that'd be a good starting point, and then I am going to start weaving it through. Now what I did is I went under the one in the middle and then over the one on the end, forming a woven pattern. Now it's okay if the final project you do see some of the green wire. It's just going to kind of show off the detail of the weaving. So just trying to get it through there fairly straight. My advice is to leave the plastic tape on the end of the rope. Otherwise, your rope is going to fray while you're doing all of this weaving. So I go over and alternate the second row. So instead of going under, I went over. And then I just keep alternating that woven pattern. I hope that makes sense. So I went over, under and then over the other side. I'll pull it through and then come back through. And this time I go over the middle part and then under the inside part. So you're just kind of alternating. One time you go under and one time you go over, and then you just kind of push it tight on there. You're going to need a way more rope than you think you're going to need for this project. But I will try to add up how many packages of rope that we used here. So this is the first one. And keep working until you run out of rope, because you will, and then you can start the next one. Just make sure when you run out of rope, you're going to do that on the back of the wreath. The reason I know that you need to leave the tape on there is because I've done this style of wreath before for Halloween, and the first time I tried taking the tape off, thinking I don't need any tape on here, it like frayed a lot because you're doing a lot with that rope, pulling it in and out. Whenever you get to like a cross section, just try to get it like as tight as you can in that section to get like maximum coverage. You always want to keep that tight. So what I do is just hot glue the end to the back, like kind of right in the middle, cutting off the excess rope. And then I can start my next rope right there where I left off. And just make sure that you continue the same exact pattern, like you're starting in the right spot and going over the right bars. And you really can't tell where you start and stop on this. And again, this is just a time-consuming project. If you wanted to do this in front of the television while you're watching your favorite YouTuber or TV show, I would advise that because your arms are going to be tired because there's so much weaving, but the end result is beautiful. I love it. So that's about how far 2 packages go. And we can keep on weaving. I have the power to speed this way up. It makes it look super easy. And 3 packages gets about halfway through. So I'm guessing I probably used a total of 6 packages here. 4, 5. Definitely gonna need at least 6 here. Actually, I think I used 7 because then I have to go down the stem of it. Once I get to the bottom, there's only 2 wires there. And so I couldn't really weave it, so I just wind it around it. And that's how far that package got me. See, it almost got me to the end. And just opening another package and finishing it off. Just kind of gluing it to yourself when you get to the end, just trying to cover up all of the exposed wreath form. And now we have a rope-covered shamrock. I think it's so pretty. I'm just going to burn off all the fuzzies with a lighter to get any strings and just kind of clean it up a little bit. I always like to do that with my rope projects. I think it just cleans things up a little bit. Now I want to decorate this for coastal, but I want to decorate it coastal just kind of minimally. So I'm going to use that same ribbon from the Dollar Tree. I love this. I really wish I could find more of this at the Dollar Tree, this palm print. And I'm just going to make a cute little hanger for my wreath with that. It's a nice wide ribbon, so I think it's going to work well as a hanger. Just going to hot glue it here to the back. And kind of make a loop ribbon to hang this with. Looping it and then gluing down the excess ribbon. Now I am going to decorate this with a few coastal touches, but nothing too crazy, but it's your wreath. You can decorate yours as much as you want. So I thought like starfish, maybe some seashells would be great. So I'm going to use a starfish over here. Again, these are the Amazon starfish that I get. They're the real ones, but you could always use the ones from the Dollar Tree. They're about the same size. And I'm just kind of decorating kind of one side a little bit. And so I'm going to use a seashell from the Dollar Tree and then also a sand dollar. I get those sand dollars on Amazon as well. I always have all that stuff linked in my Amazon shop below if you're interested in them. And those are like real sand dollars too, but you could always use the ones from the Dollar Tree. When I made this, I was completely out of the Dollar Tree ones. And then I wanted to use some more of that ribbon to kind of make a little bow here for the bottom. So I am just going to loop that like that with 2 little loops. And then kind of tie that together to give a fun little bow. Just kind of like you could tie shoelaces like that, I guess. Just making sure the tails are facing the same direction. And this isn't a wired ribbon, but it is nice and thick and silky, and so it really tied well like that. And then I thought we could just kind of decorate the stem of the shamrock, kind of like crooked at an angle, just to add a little bit of fun. And then I'm just going to dovetail the edges of the tails of that ribbon. Like I said, I just wanted to decorate it a little bit coastal, but not too much. But if you wanted to add like lots more seashells and stuff to yours, that would be really cute as well. I just really didn't want to cover up the braided rope because it's so pretty. Now to cover that middle section of the bow where it was white, I just use another Dollar Tree seashell and glue that on there. I get that all done and then I decide I don't really like exactly where I put it. This is me being extra. And so I use some heat to pull it off and glue it down a little bit lower on the stem. I don't know why, but that's where I wanted it. And this is how it looks hanging on my door for St. Patrick's Day. It's a lot of work to weave with that rope, but look at the finished product. It is beautiful, and it definitely doesn't look like it was made with supplies from the Dollar Tree. Okay, up next we're going to do another coastal St. Patrick's Day sign using one of those signs from the Dollar Tree, and then I want to layer my signs again, so I'm just going to use a square sign I had left over from Christmas. Doesn't really matter what it is, and I'm just going to go ahead and paint that Christmas green color. And that's just going to be kind of my background. Doesn't really matter that I had all that glitter and stuff on there because I'm also going to layer the burlap that we used earlier. This is just burlap I have from Walmart. You could always use the burlap rolls from Walmart as well, or the burlap bags they now have at the Dollar Tree. And I was kind of going for that same feel where you have the burlap with the green background, but this time I kind of wanted to cut it down so it kind of had like a green border around the edges. So I'm just cutting the burlap down the sides, trying to cut along the grain of the burlap. And then I like the green sign, but I do want to distress it a little bit. So I'm going to distress it with a little ivory. Just kind of working in one direction. I love using those chunky brushes from the Dollar Tree. Sometimes they lose a lot of bristles, but sometimes they work well. Just going around the edges because you're not going to be able to see the middle part, so there's really no need for that. To kind of give me a coastal background for this sign. Now to attach the burlap, I'm just going to do a thick layer of Mod Podge again. And glue down the burlap. It's going to kind of tie it together to that other project we made with the rope and the fishnet. A little bit different because the green border is visible around the edges. And then I want to take that shamrock sign that we got at the Dollar Tree and layer that on top of it. But I do want to kind of give it a little bit of a coastal makeover as well. So just using my Cricut brayer to make sure I got that glued down straight. Now see how this sign kind of looks a little bit coastal? This is the one that has like the green galvanized metal shamrock. Just going to pop that off. I like the colors on this. This is almost exactly the same background image that's on the one that I just used for my Shamrock Cafe sign for my coffee bar for St. Patrick's Day. That one had a burlap ribbon in the middle. If you use that one would actually be about perfect. I didn't really like the bright green galvanized metal here, so I thought I would just clean up the back on that to get the glue off of it, and then I could just use the silver side. I thought it was going to go way better with my decor than that bright green. Just trying to clean up any areas there from glue, kind of distressing all over, just to kind of make it look less like paper and more like a weathered painted shamrock, really distressing the dark green areas pretty heavily. I like to do that. It always makes the signs look a little bit better from the Dollar Tree. I'm also going to go ahead and distress it with a little ivory as well, just to help kind of go with that painted vibe. Even though the printed paper is pretty, I just kind of want it to look a little bit more homemade. Now, there was a small area there where I had a little glue that was exposed there. So I'm just going to use a little tiny piece of burlap just to make a little clover stem because it didn't really have one. And then just hot glue the galvanized metal shamrock leaves right on top. Then I decided that I kind of wanted to distress this with a little antique wax by Waverly. It was probably too late at this point because I already had the burlap on there, but I'm being careful. Just because there was a lot of brown distressing on that sign that we're going to attach to the front, and I just kind of want the colors to coordinate a little bit better together. And then I'm just going to go ahead and take some twine, tying that off on the top of the shamrock. We can use these existing hangers to hang the whole sign. That way I won't have to worry about covering up those holes when we attach that to the back sign. And about the thickness of 2 Dollar Tree signs, I really like that. Well, it makes it kind of more of a normal depth sign. So as you can see on this square sign that I had left over, it's going to overlap the sides slightly, but that's okay. And we're just going to glue the shamrock down. It kind of looks really cute like that. I want to take it a little bit further and add some more coastal touches to it though. So I thought some seashells from the Dollar Tree would be really fun because they're kind of, the same shape as the little petals on the clover. So I'm just going through my stash trying to find 6 of them that are about the same color and about the same size. And I couldn't really find one that I wanted for the middle. And so I'll show you what I end up using. A $10. I had one just the right size, but it would be kind of cute without it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that $10 down. Again, I got that one on Amazon. All of the seashells are from the Dollar Tree. Just hot gluing those down onto the galvanized metal shamrock. Just hot gluing around the edges. And securing those all down. And this was kind of an outside the box shamrock with all the seashells, but I love the coastal touches and I think it turned out really fun. Okay, we got all those glued down. And I'm loving this project so far. What do you guys think? And then there's me saying, well, my greens don't really match. So I use a little bit of that Christmas green to distress the green stripe on there just to make sure my signs kind of match together a little bit better. And then also distressing them with a little bit of ivory just to brighten it up a little bit. Okay, I got to this point and then I decided to add some nautical rope, some of the jute kind that we just used for the wreath to kind of frame this out a little bit. Again, anytime I frame out the Dollar Tree signs like this, I think they look a little bit thicker and I'm usually happier with them. So I'm just going to start along the bottom and I'm going to hot glue that to the edges. And just use a package of rope and go all the way around. It's going to provide another little coastal touch to this. And make it look a little bit thicker and more finished as well. Just wrapping that around, gluing one section at a time, making sure that my hot glue does not dry. And this is how it turned out, just kind of gluing the corner to itself down there. And this is the final project. It's really rustic, really fun for a coastal St. Patrick's Day. And I love the little sand dollar on there. I think that looks really fun. Okay, on to the next St. Patrick's Day DIY, but first I wanted to take a moment to tell you about my private Facebook group. I always have a link below. I also have a Facebook page. If you're going to want to follow that too, because you're going to get different content from that. And I'm also on Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest at Crafty Beach on YouTube, on all of those. And I'd love to see you over there. Okay, our next DIY, I wanted to make just a cute little kind of coastal leprechaun sign. So I'm going to use one of these bamboo cutting boards from the Dollar Tree. I thought it was a perfect size because I just kind of want to use the shamrock head for this sign to do a cute little sign. So I like the bamboo finish. I do want to kind of distress it a little bit with some antique wax by Waverly, just kind of staining it a little bit darker. And I wasn't sure if you could stain that wood, but actually it stained really beautifully. Just because I'm going to be doing some other DIYs that's going to be displayed with this, that I'm going to kind of do that medium wood grain. Now, as you can see, I went over it with a baby wipe at the end. It kind of made it a little bit lighter. And then I'm using one of these little leprechauns from the Dollar Tree and just pulling off all of his body. This is the one with like the brown hair. I didn't think he was quite as loud as the little leprechaun that had the orange hair. But I'm also going to pull out these little rivets here, just so they're not quite as obvious. And he fits perfectly on that little cutting board. I love DIYing with those. I was really happy to find a bunch of those recently at Dollar Tree. Haven't seen those in a while either. So his hat is got the hole in it, so I'm just going to trim it down a little bit, rounding the corner to make him fit well. And then I was worried about the holes in the beard, because you can see those, but I couldn't really trim that off. So I'm going to start hot gluing him down to the sign. I don't really want to overlap the bottom. This is going to be a standing sign for my St. Patrick's Day DIYs, and I'm just going to glue the little felt leprechaun to the sign. Now, since I couldn't really cover those up, I thought a little antique wax by Waverly in each one of those holes was going to kind of stain the wood behind it brown, and that worked really well to hide the little holes in his beard. And I never know what to do with these little felt creatures from the Dollar Tree, and so I was really excited to find something that I could DIY with it. I do remove the bright green little shamrock up there. I'm going to decorate that with something a little bit more coastal, since we're doing coastal St. Patrick's Day today. And I thought a sand dollar on his hat would be really cute, but I kind of wanted it to look like gold. And so I'm just going to paint the sand dollar with some gold metallic acrylic paint to kind of make it look like a gold coin, but it's also going to be a sand dollar. I thought that would be really fun, just to bring a little coastal touch to this DIY. And again, you could totally use the sand dollars from the Dollar Tree if you have them. I can't wait for the shore living items to come out at the Dollar Tree. It's like a holiday around here. Soon, soon, soon. So I thought that'd be really cute on the little hat like that. And then I want it to be a standing sign. So I'm just going to glue. This is a giant Jenga block that I have left over from Five Below. And this is how it turned out. Our little coastal leprechaun. I think he's really cute. No glitter or anything on him, so he goes really well with my decor. Okay, I wanted to make another kind of a standing sign for my St. Patrick's Day decorations. So I'm using one of these little pot of golds from the Dollar Tree, and we're going to stain the whole pot with antique wax by Waverly. Kind of have to use a brush because you kind of got to get in around all those letters and stuff like that. This stained is so pretty. So a good coat of antique wax by Waverly, and then just going around with paper towel and wiping off the excess. And look at that beautiful wood grain on there. Now I wanted to paint the word lucky so that you can kind of read that against the stained wood, going over it with some ivory paint. And just a makeup sponge, trying not to get too much of that on my stained wood in the back. It can always be a little tricky trying to paint those signs. Now I wanted to make, this is going to kind of be a standing sign as well, but I wanted to do something more creative than the pot of gold, and I thought we would use seashells instead of gold coins. I thought that would be really fun coastal touch. And so these are actually like seashells that I found at the beach. They're really bleached out, but I think they're going to work really well for this project, because what we're going to do is I'm just going to go around and start gluing them down. I kind of found ones that were just the right size to fit the pattern that was already on there, but I'm not going to leave them this white color. We will go back and paint these gold to make them look like gold coins. And this is really fun. Just another idea of how you can bring a coastal beachy vibe into just about anything. So I got the first row glued on, and now I can start gluing on the second row, kind of overlapping, like they're all kind of piled in the pot of gold. And normally you would think, you know, a pot of gold would be black, but look how pretty it is stained wood. I'm so glad I decided to stain it instead of paint it. So I got pretty good coverage there with seashells, and everything is glued down. Now I wanted the Lucky to be green. The reason I painted it ivory first was to kind of give me a brighter background. I did because it was stained kind of dark. So just using some of the Christmas green and going over that with a baby wipe, trying to be careful again not to get too much on the background. Brought a little bit of green into this DIY. And then the seashells, I told you we're going to paint them gold. So I'm using the gold acrylic paint and a brush to get in there. Look how pretty the seashells look painted like that. You can see all the little stripes on there. So pretty. And you can use whatever seashells you've got. My Dollar Trees always have a pretty good selection of seashells. And isn't that a fun little touch? I love this DIY. I thought it was really cute. Also painting like behind them, any of the areas that were stained, just getting in there with that metallic gold. And I love working with the metallic acrylic paints. They really turn out really nice and shiny. Now I kind of wanted to make a stand that wouldn't be visible, so I'm just going to glue 2 of those little Jenga blocks from Five Below onto the back of each leg. That way they'll be kind of hidden, but it's going to be a nice little standing sign here for my little pot of gold seashells. And this is how it turned out. Super fun, super quirky. Okay, our next DIY, look at these great vases that I got at the Dollar Tree. They're so coastal, so nautical. They've got like the rope or the twine tied around it in like a fishing net pattern. And they're so pretty. I went ahead and got 2 of them. I thought these would be, this is what it is, the vase with jute, if you were going to try to find them at your store. They also have it wrapped around. You know, you could always DIY your own by tying a fishnet on the side, but how convenient that they're already like that, right? Now I want to fill it with those beautiful shamrocks that you see there from the Dollar Tree and make some little St. Patrick's Day flower arrangements. I do need a little foam in there, just to stick the plant down into. So I'm just cutting some little pieces of foam and putting those down in there. But otherwise, we're going to use some Dollar Tree sand to fill in there, and the foam won't be visible, and it's going to look nice and beachy. And I'm using the brown sand. You could always use the white sand. You know, I think they might even have green sand. Kind of putting a skewer in there just so I can kind of move that foam around. Make sure I get it in the right place. And don't do that. Don't spill sand everywhere like I did. And this is going to be a great base for those shamrocks. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here on the other side. I'm even going to finish it off with some seashells just for fun. Now, I've gotten a funnel since then. Funnels work really well for that. So we're going to fill this one up with some sand as well. And then we're going to clean up all of my sandy mess. That's with a little ladybug vacuum. You know, my son ran off with that to clean his bearded dragon tank, and he's never given it back. I guess I need to order a new one. So I'm just trying to make sure that each vase has about the same amount of sand in there. And then I thought we could put some of those little tiny seashells from the Dollar Tree in there, just kind of scattering those around. Since it is clear glass, you'll be able to see in there a little bit, and it'll be a nice little beachy touch. See, isn't that cute? Okay, these are the little shamrocks. They have two different kinds of these, I've noticed. They have these that are the plain green, or they have the ones that have glitter on them. I chose the plain ones, and we're just going to stick 2 of them in each vase. It's going to fill it up really nicely, just sticking it down into that foam that I put in the center. And this is how they turned out. Here is one of them. Beautiful decoration for St. Patrick's Day. And it even has the coastal beachy touch with the sand, seashells, and the fishing net on the vase. I love that vase so much. Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these little glitter shamrocks from the Dollar Tree. And I thought we could recreate this and make it into a sand shamrock. So I'm carefully going to try to pull out the hanger without causing too much damage there on the foam there at the top. And then I thought we would use that wood base that you see there, that little wood chunky circle as a base. And this will be like a standing shamrock. I did want to first paint it like the color of sand to kind of mask all that green glitter that's on there. And I'm just using cashew chalk paint just because I had it and it was about the same color as the sand I was going to use. At first, I was kind of hoping that the glitter would be bumpier and it would almost give it that sand appearance, but it really went on very smooth. That glitter they use at the Dollar Tree must be like really fine. I always laugh at myself every time I go to Dollar Tree shopping, which is all the time. I always leave there with glitter all over myself, and I always have to laugh because looks like I'm wearing body glitter, but basically it's just a telltale sign that I've been at Dollar Tree because they love their glitter. So I'm just going over all the front and the sides here of our little shamrock and painting it that cashew color. It does seal all the glitter and kind of clean up the mess, but I can't really leave the back exposed like that. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the back as well. And if for anything else, it's going to seal all that glitter away. We can have a nice kind of blank canvas. Now this is a very lightweight shamrock, and so it's not going to be super sturdy, but I'm going to kind of just cut off the bottom. As you can see, just trying to cut it like that. Kind of wanted to fall apart on me. So I decided to use like a serrated knife to kind of cut through there a little bit smoother. And somebody was telling me the other day to use one of the foam noodle knives. I did buy one of those, but I have no idea what I did with it because I can't find it now that I want to use it. So I thought, since it doesn't really look like sand at this point, we're just going to have to cover it with sand. And so I'm going to go over the shamrock with Mod Podge and use some of that brown Dollar Tree sand that we used on the last DIY for our little shamrocks and glue that all over. Painting it that color first, though, definitely helped because if there's any areas that aren't covered with sand, you're not really going to be able to tell. So just kind of working one section at a time. Mod Podge, you could also always use school glue for this as well. Both work really well for sand. And make sure you put something down first to catch all of that sand because you're going to waste a lot. Then I'm going to go over it with the spray glue, also from the Dollar Tree, and spray glue that to kind of secure that down, doing a second coat of sand. Now I also want the edges, so I'm going to go ahead and spray some of that adhesive on the edges and kind of touch those up as well to make sure that I get a little bit more sand attached to the edges. And just spraying and gluing more sand on there until I'm happy with it. I think this turned out really fun. It really does look like a shamrock made out of sand, like a little sand sculpture. Now, this is the little wood circle that we're going to use for the base of that. I thought it was just about the right size and would work well for that. I'm going to fill in the little hole there with a little hanger with a little bit of spackle. And then I wanted to bring a little bit of green into this. So I'm going to go ahead and paint the base of this green. And this is like a leafy green. Doesn't matter, whatever kind of green that you have. I usually like to work with acrylics because they are cheaper. And if you craft a lot like I do, the chalk paint can really add up. So a lot of times I will make my own chalk paint if I need it with some of that calcium carbonate that I get on Amazon. And I think the one that I normally use that's in my shop, the calcium carbonate, is not available right now. And so it doesn't really matter what brand you use. Just any of the calcium carbonate powder mixed with acrylic, and you're going to have chalk paint. So I just screwed a screw in the middle to kind of give me something to attach the little shamrock to, carving out a little hole in the base of the shamrock, and then kind of pulling hot glue over the little screw that I put on the base, and then sitting the little shamrock on the base, waiting for that hot glue to dry. Whenever you're working with foam, it's going to melt with the hot glue, but I think it's going to be okay. Then I thought I should use some of this reindeer moss to kind of decorate that up a little bit, kind of give it a fun vibe. So I'm going to just hot glue some of that reindeer moss on the base of this, just to give another little fun element to this DIY. And again, since this is made out of foam and sand, not real durable, you're not going to want to put this in a high use area, but it looked great on my shelf and it actually held up. I'm also going to glue some of that reindeer moss all the way around the edges as well. And I really like the combination of the sand and the reindeer moss. They look really fun and earthy together. And it just kind of makes it more like a finished product. So once I get it all on there, I use some more of that spray adhesive that we use for the sand to help glue that down. And here it is, our little sand shamrock for St. Patrick's Day. I love it. It's so much fun. I love covering anything in sand. Okay, our next DIY, I'm going to use one of these little frames from the Dollar Tree. I liked it because it kind of had like a light wood frame on it, and it was about the right size that I wanted. I wanted to make a little kind of mossy shamrock sign. So this had like little hearts and different things on it to decorate it. So I'm just trying to remove all that to give myself kind of a blank canvas. And then I'm going to go over this with Mod Podge because what I'm going to do is cover the surface of that with sand. Now, I probably should have painted it like I did the sand shamrock first in that like tan color. That way I would have got better coverage, but I'm just kind of pouring the brown sand in there and just kind of shaking it around, pouring off the excess. So that's when I realized, you know, you probably should have painted that because now you've got to cover up all those words. So you might want to paint it first. So I just sprayed some adhesive, put some more sand on there, gave it a quick dry, and I'm just going to have to keep doing that until I have good enough coverage on there. What I want to do is to do like a mossy shamrock with a sand background to do a fun little coastal St. Patrick's Day decoration. Just making sure I don't have any sand glued to the inside of the frame and patching any areas that still needed it. Now, whenever you work with sand like that, you got to make sure that it is pretty good and dry before you add anything else to it. Now, I thought it would be really fun to make a little mossy shamrock, and I thought I would use one of these little foam shamrocks from the Dollar Tree as a template. And actually one of those little Brillo pads from the Dollar Tree to make it kind of look like a mossy. I thought this would make a great like mossy shamrock. So I'm just going to use that as a guide to cut the little Brillo pad down. I'm just going to use like a white paint pen to kind of draw the shape on there. Something that's going to be visible on that dark green color. But I can kind of cut that part off. And it was just about the right size, and then just using my scissors to cut out the Brillo pad. Trying to cut off most of the white, but it doesn't really matter because I can always just use that side for the back. And it does kind of give you that mossy appearance, but with the use of a Brillo pad. I thought that was really fun, and it actually worked out pretty well. Just kind of trimming it up to make it look a little bit better once I get it cut out. Then I want to attach that to the sand background. I do want it to be a standing sign though, so I'm going to use one of those Jenga blocks. I always get those every spring at Five Below. They're great for crafting. And I glue one to the back to make a little stand for this frame. Now we can attach the little mossy shamrock here to the front. Just going to use a thick layer of hot glue, pushing that down into the sand as much as I can to try to get that glued against the base of it, and it did not. So I'm going to add more hot glue, this time really pushing it down, because if you just glue to the sand, it is totally going to fall off, and that worked. Then I wanted to add just a few more beachy touches, so this is kind of a small project, so I'm using some of those little tiny shells. These are the ones that you get in the little bottles at Dollar Tree, and just gluing some along the bottom just for fun. I also have some of these little tiny starfish. I get these on Amazon. I absolutely love them. And I have those linked in my shop as well. Just doing a little beachy border down here. It was pretty simple DIY, but it was nice and beachy and fun. And this is how it turned out. Our little Brillo pad, mossy shamrock. I really don't think you can tell that's what it's made out of. It definitely has a fun mossy appearance with that sand background. Looks really cute. Goes great with that DIY where we just made the sand shamrock as well. Okay, the next DIY is we're going to DIY one of these little shamrock hats using some of the decorative nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. I'm going to use the 9.5 foot. It's kind of the thinner rope. And the first thing is we're going to just have to take all of this tinsely stuff off the cage. It's going to give us a great thing that we can DIY. And you'll laugh if you've watched my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar, because I made almost exactly the same DIY in that video. And when I made it, I said, I think I've made this DIY before. And look at this. I had made it, but it is going to be a little bit different. The coffee bar one, I used a black leather purse and DIY'd a green buckle. And so this one's going to be a little bit different look, but it turned out just as cute. So you know the drill. Whenever you're working with the cages like this, you can just wrap it in Dollar Tree rope and get such a fun finished project. So just starting in the center of my cage, the top, gonna start gluing around in like a curly Q fashion, gluing to the plastic cage when needed, and we're just gonna keep going around and covering up this entire hat. I thought about not including this since I just did almost the same exact DIY in my coffee bar video, but I thought I have another bonus one to throw in here at the end. This is DIY number 10, but I do have one more to show you too. So when you get to the end, you can just start and stop, just trying to glue that together as tightly as possible. And usually you won't be able to see the seam too much, but if you can, you can make sure all your seams are like on the back of your DIY, just working my way around and covering this with rope. You know a DIY is a good DIY when you make it twice. So just going around the brim of the hat until all of the plastic cage is covered, gluing down the final rope. It looks so much better like that. I just love it. And now I have 2 of these. That's okay. It's kind of hard. There's not a lot of St. Patrick's Day decorations at Dollar Tree to craft with sometimes. So sometimes you got to work with what you can get. Now the bottom looks a little a mess. I'm just going to kind of melt off some of that excess hot glue with my heat gun. Just kind of clean that up a little bit, but you're not going to be able to see down there anyway. And then just like with my little rope shamrock, I'm going to go around and burn off all the fuzzies with a lighter. Just kind of cleans it up, but this step is totally optional. Now I just need to decorate this little hat. I wanted to bring in a little green with this DIY because we're doing a lot of greens and browns on this shelf. And so I thought a little green strap would be perfect. I do have some green fabric left over from another DIY from the Dollar Tree, and I thought I would just cut down a strip. I'm going to kind of double it up, folding it together with both open seams on the back so that you won't be able to see those, and no sew, right? Until it's just about the right size, and then we're just going to cut that down and glue that little strap around the leprechaun hat. And I do a different kind of buckle on this one than I did on my coffee bar video the other day. If you haven't seen my St. Patrick's Day coffee bar video, you should go check it out. A lot of really fun St. Patrick's Day DIYs. And up next, I'm probably going to do St. Patrick's Day tier trays because all my tier trays are empty right now with Valentine's being over. Oh, no, I still have my winter one, but not for long. Now, it came with a little paper buckle on there. I'm going to kind of use that as a template. And I'm going to use some of this burlap ribbon from the Dollar Tree with a little zigzag pattern on it. I love all these little burlap ribbons from the Dollar Tree. I think they're so cute. And just using that as reference to know exactly the size to cut the ribbons down. I cut 4 pieces to do 4 sides of the buckle. And then we're just going to hot glue those on. It looked really good with the rope and the burlap buckle. They just go really nicely together. Just a quick, easy DIY and fun for St. Patrick's Day. Doesn't have to be a coastal theme on this one, but it looks really nice with it. So just another little variation in the little rope leprechaun hat. You know, if I'm going to take something from the Dollar Tree, we're going to wrap it with some rope. We're going to make it look nautical and make it look so much better. And I like the little buckle on that. I think it turned out really cute. I found this little rainbow felt garland in the party section at the Dollar Tree, and I thought it would make a perfect garland for St. Patrick's Day because they are like the colors of the rainbow. So I'm just going to use twine to kind of go with my coastal feel and just start stringing these up. I think they're so cute. I'm going to kind of do like the colors of the rainbow. If I don't use some colors, that's fine. Just red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple. And I love these. I think they're really cute. They're kind of a small size for a banner, but they're absolutely perfect for what I needed. So you can always kind of rearrange those as needed for spacing. And then I'm just going to go ahead and repeat that pattern. Basically, I'm using every color that was included except for the pink.
Just a really easy way to do a little rainbow banner. And I always love to do like a little banner across my cabinet. I do for seasonal decor. And this is how it turned out. I hung it above all of the St. Patrick's Day DIYs that we made today. And I think it's a really fun little rainbow touch. And you've made it all the way to the final reveal. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Now I'm going to give you a closer look of all 14 of the St. Patrick's Day DIYs we've made today. Be sure to comment your favorite DIY down in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, and I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe. Enjoy the final reveal.
I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way. Nothing can ruin my day, no matter what anyone does or say. I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. Cause I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. Cause I know what it's like to be broke, yeah. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. It's like to be broken, and I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm just gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down, cause I am on my way up, I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. I am on my way up, I won't slow down. I'm walking down the street on clouds instead of the concrete I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, nothing can ruin my day. No matter what anyone does or say, I smile at fools. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. Cause I know what it's like to be broke. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. Yeah, I am on my way up, I won't slow down. I'm strolling down the street with all of my favorite songs on repeat. I'm dancing through. Everything's about to come my way, and I don't care if you spill coffee on me or if the sky is gray or blue. No, I don't care, cause I am on my way up, and I won't stop, I won't slow down. Steady on my feet, I'm gonna rise up. No, I won't stop, it is my time. I know what it's like to be broke, yeah. I know what it's like when nothing goes your way. So I'm gonna let myself enjoy the fruit from this lucky day.
Thank you so much for watching. I'd like to also give a huge shout out and thank you to all of my Crafty Beach Bum members. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Pamela Bergeron, I Am Mojo Jojo, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Carrie R., Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Julie Miller, Tammy Coates, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., and Iris Cornelius. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate each and every one of you. And if you would like more Dollar Tree DIYs, YouTube thinks you might enjoy this video right here. Happy crafting!